Make sure you secure the piece to be tapped. This is one of the most important parts. Taps are very brittle, so if your tap or material moves too much, it will break off the tap in the hole. To avoid that, it's a good idea to use a vise to secure your material and align the hole so it's either directly below you or directly in front of you. Since taps are just bits, they need a tool to turn them. The trusty tap wrench is specifically made for this. Insert the square end of the tap into the adjustable jaws of the tap wrench and twist the handle that tightens the jaws. Now here comes the tricky part. Line up the tap of the hole, making sure that it's completely perpendicular to the material. Apply slight pressure to the tap and begin turning the wrench. You should feel the cutting threads begin to catch, so double check that the tap is straight and do not force the tap or it may break. After you've made a couple of full revolutions in the material, you can stop applying pressure. From here, after every full turn of the tap, give it a half turn in reverse. This will break the chips off and clean out the thread. Repeat this until the tap is completely through the material. Once you're done, turn the tap out. Blow the chips out and then test it out. If you're tapping into a soft material like aluminum, brass, or cast iron, you won't need lubrication. But if you're tapping steel, use some cutting oil to help out. A die is basically the inverse of a tap. It cuts threads onto the outside diameter of a rod. The rod's diameter will dictate which die you use. To prepare the rod for threading, just file or grind a bevel onto the end so it's easier to turn the die onto it. After you've selected your die, you'll need to put the die into the die stock, which is similar to a tap wrench. Most die stocks have a set screw on the side, which is then screwed in to tighten the die into the stock. Rather than try and spin the rod onto the die, we'll spin the die onto the rod. That means that the rod will have to be held securely, ideally in a vise. This also keeps the rod straight while spinning the die onto the end. Cutting the thread is almost identical to the tapping process. Make sure the die is aligned with the rod and apply pressure, and then turn it onto the rod. Once the initial threads have been formed and the die is caught, you can remove pressure and continue turning, remembering to give it a backward turn once every revolution to break the chips. Once you've threaded the rod to the desired length, give it a test.